And this Friday edition, we start with the Waqf Amendment Bill that's found passage through both the houses in Parliament. The Rajya Sabha passed the Waqf Amendment Bill 2025 in the wee hours of Friday after a fiery debate on the matter. The debate that began on Thursday afternoon went well past midnight. The upper house debated the bill for nearly 14 hours and then cleared it with 128 votes in favour and 95 against. The legislation was earlier cleared in the Lok Sabha after nearly 12 hours of debate with 288 votes in favour and 232 against. Now with this, both the houses have cleared the decks for the amendments in the Waqf Bill of 1995 and repealing the Mussalman Waqf Act of 1923. The bill is awaiting President Draupadi Murmuji's assent before it can become an act. Top government sources have said that the Waqf Amendment Bill is likely to get the President's approval early next week, and after that, the government is going to notify the rules very soon. The framework of the rules is almost ready, and sources have further added that the Waqf Amendment Bill 2025 introduces significant reforms aimed at enhancing the governance, transparency and efficiency of Waqf property management across Bharat. By addressing long-standing issues such as litigation and the lack of judicial oversight, the bill creates a more structured and accountable framework. Key changes include redefining the formation of Waqf, improving the survey and registration process, empowering government oversight, ensuring inclusivity by incorporating non-Muslim members and women into Waqf-related bodies. Now, these provisions mark a crucial step towards modernizing Waqf property management in Bharat. Now, the changes focus on overcoming the shortcomings of the previous act and enhancing the efficiency of Waqf boards, updating the definitions of Waqf, improving the registration process, increasing the role of technology in managing Waqf records. So what happens now? The moment President Draupadi Murmu gives her assent to the bill sometime early next week, judicial intervention in Waqf disputes will be enabled. Digital registration of Waqf properties will commence. Non-Muslims and women will be added to the Waqf board. Property disputes to district collector will be shifted. Officers above district collector rank will then conduct surveys. It will safeguard existing Waqf sites by limiting fresh claims. The lawmakers have also chosen reform, and the opposition's bid to fearmonger clearly seems to have failed. But the ecosystem remains relentless. They have now resorted to a fresh tactic of knocking not just the top court's door, but also some trying to take to the streets. Congress MP Mohammad Javed and AIMIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi have filed separate petitions against the passing of the bill, calling the provisions blatant violation of the fundamental rights of Muslims. The DMK and the CPM have both warned of moving the apex court. Stalin's DMK has already said that Tamil Nadu as a state will try and also approach the Supreme Court. Samajwadi Party MP Ziaur Rahman Barq has said that he is not only opposing the bill but has threatened of another strategy in this regard. So what are they indicating? As the fear-mongering has failed, will they set out to rabble-rousing on the streets, creating ruckus? These are questions. But more importantly, why block an essential reform that finds mention way back nearly 2 decades ago, even in the Sachar Commission report? Sardar R.P. Singh, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, scientist, author, political commentator with us, and Khaliqur Rahman, also with us, political analyst. My namaste, Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very, very much. Gentlemen, let's hope we can have a sane conversation around this. Khaliqur Rahman, if it is for reform, if it is for the good, and if Parliament has passed it, then the option is for legal recourse. And that is perhaps the fundamental right for everyone. Why try and stoke unrest and threaten CAA-like protests, blocking of streets, mayhem on the sadak, etc.?
Good evening, and good evening to all my co-panelists and to all the viewers. In fact, the protest is the constitutional right of every citizen, and the protest has to be done in a very constitutional manner, and not like what was threatened by SDPI, day before yesterday. But we, in fact, definitely, will raise our voice, and we will definitely, hit the roads, but in a very democratic, in a very constitutional way. And now coming to the legal recourse, in fact, because the Constitution gives us the right to appeal, and we will definitely, be appealing the Supreme Court, that we have already decided, and our MP, Mr. Javed, has already, in fact, moved ahead in this direction. But now coming to this Waqf Act, I would like to go back to the 2013 amendments.
Right.
And because the act was made in 1995, and thereafter, there was a need which was felt for the amendments, and the amendments were in fact carried out in 2013. And at that time, in fact, the stalwarts of the BJP, like Advani ji, Sushma Swaraj ji, Murli Manohar ji, Vajpayee, they were all there, and it was unanimously passed. That has made the bill very comprehensive, and the act, in fact, had become very comprehensive. But and that was for the good of the Muslim community. And the intention of the amendment those days was not to snatch away the properties of the Muslims, not to take the control through the non-Muslim nominees onto the board. And in fact, coming to that. And then the clauses like the work by user, has been abolished. The work by user gives the government the blanket power to take away any property, because they will not be recognizing that the property, in fact, the tradition, for example, even if for the last, let's say, 100 years, if there has been a religious practice which has been followed, then if they will say that, okay, it is not there in the Waqf, so that will not be recognized. Now coming to the the powers of the Land Survey Commissioner, that has been taken away, that has been given to the district collector. Who is the district collector? District collector is the representative of the government. And now, when the government, in fact, by violating Article 26, they will be, in fact, nominating the non-Muslim. But, for example, I being a Muslim, if I want to donate my property to the Waqf board, I will have to prove myself and to the government that I am a practicing Muslim for the last 5 years. So where is but
if you're
justice for the Muslims? And all of a sudden, because, see, I'll tell you, because the BJP government was in power for the last 11 years almost, and they had, almost 90% of the country was under their control. What good they have done in this last 11 years? Why they are now suddenly, thinking good about the Muslim community, and especially when let me complete.
Sir, you cannot make it a monologue, sir. This is a discussion, so you have to yield. Okay,
yeah,
sir.
Okay. Please go ahead.
No. Please complete.
No. All of a sudden, and I was really shocked to see that the proceedings in the Rajya Sabha, in fact, which went past midnight and almost about 4:30 in the morning, and every single MP of the BJP was talking for the welfare of the Muslim community. I felt so good. I thought and I prayed that hope this would continue even after the passing of the bill. The moment the bill was passed, everyone said, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram.
Right. So,
yeah.
No, but
there's nothing wrong with that.
Correct.
But there's nothing wrong. But they also should have said,
now you have to yield. Now you have to yield. That even Imam-e-Hind is someone that Prabhu Shri Ram has been credited even by the Musalmans of Bharat.
I'm not.
Correct. So for you to have a problem with somebody saying Jai Shri Ram and
I'm not having the problem.
Sir,
why only?
Sir, all this while you spoke. Now you should listen. No, please. Right.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, making two observations. Ram is not a Hindu deity or deity of any particular pratha. Ram is
Absolutely.
Maryada Purushottam. That means higher than the normal average human being. He is an Uttama Purusha. That he is somebody
Yes.
that anybody and everybody who lives in this place or across the world
Yes.
should follow his ideals. So
Yes.
if somebody is saying Jai Shri Ram, it is also towards the
No,
fact that...
the same.
Sir,
Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
interrupt. Now please listen.
Yeah, please,
So
okay.
if they are shouting Jai Shri Ram, you should not have a problem.
I'm not having the
You
problem.
should not have a problem. It is
I'm not
because in
saying
the
I'm
interest
having
of
a
the people
problem.
of the country. Second thing.
In fact, welcomed. I
Sir,
welcomed.
for 11 years, you said that they did not do anything for the Musalman of our country. Now, if they are doing, you have a problem. When they didn't do, you had a problem. Instant train talaq, which was a travesty on women, was done away under this government, not on any other government. Shah Bano's ordinance was actually the judgment was overturned in favor of fundamentalists under a Congress government which claims to be Hiteshi of the Musalman of this country. So it's a travesty, sir, that at least that has not happened, where a judgment or a decision in favor of the people or women of the country has been overturned by an act of parliament. So parliament has not been misused. So certain things you have to be mindful of. But you had a few points to make, which Sardar RP Singh will respond to, and then we'll go across to Dr. Ranganathan. Sardar RP Singh, Waqf by user hataya and unfair to Musalman. The government has now laid the grounds to take away the property that belongs to Musalman. Frankly, sir, it does not belong to Musalman. It belongs to God, because it's donated to God already. So it's not a property of the Muslims. It's a property that's donated in the interest on service of God, and that too for the service of humanity and people. So it is supposed to be used for 5 issues: poor, underprivileged, downtrodden, widows and orphans. Please, by the time Sardar RP Singh responds, please tell me how many Waqf properties are towards these charitable causes: poor, downtrodden, underprivileged, women and orphans. How many universities, educational institutions have been built in the last 60 years, even after 2013, on Waqf properties or Waqf land? Please look at it and tell me, is it being charitable use or profitable use? So there is some introspection that is required. But Sardar RP Singh, respond. This amendment actually empowers the BJP-led government to take away the rights of the Muslims. Is it a violation under Article 26?
Well, I'll read that part also. But Anand, let's be very clear. Property, the complete property, the land belongs to India first, and then to anyone else. Tomorrow, if need be, any land can be acquired by the country, by the Indian government, for the Indian objective of the welfare of the people at large. Let's be very clear on this, because this is wrong that this land belongs to Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs or Christians or any other sect or any other religious sect also. So whole of the country belongs to Government of India and the state government through the federal structure. Let's be clear on this. But he was quoting the BJP leaders. I was going through Shahnawaz Hussein's statement in 2013. He said it is good that it is happening, but this will also ensure that all that Hussain went to cite examples of Delhi development authorities and municipal corporations which have power to reclaim encroached lands to educate his point. Waqf board needing more powers. Sir, wahi problem thi. That's the problem, that Waqf could under section 40 claim any land. I mean, Waqf mean land which is donated by a Muslim for objective of welfare, which Anand just now mentioned. But no, under section 40 you could have claimed anything, and that's what started happening. One is that you are claiming for welfare, other is you are claiming for acquisition. कब्जे के लिए थोड़ा कोई ज़मीनें आपके लिए हो जाएंगी. I mean, parliament has been claimed, Kumbh land has been claimed. I mean, what else you could have claimed? I mean, the temple which was there before the Islam came into being has been claimed. So, and then who could have donated temple land before the Islam came into being? But that's where the problem started. And then if we are saying again, and my objective is very clear, which has raised, that overall is 9.2 lakh acre of land, which is worth almost, as per Sachar committee report, 1.2 lakh crore rupees, which as per me, even if generates only 10% of the revenue from that, it is 12,000 crore rupees.
Sir, this is dated 2005, 2006.
Yes.
That same in 2025, the value is at least 3 times, if not more.
I'm saying 4 5 times. I mean, value of land has almost gone 4 5 times. So now the revenue generation should be almost 60,000 crore rupees, and which is, if used for the poor Muslims or poor at large, will be, I mean, such a big bonanza for everyone. Why not to do it? And again, people who have gone to court or have gone to court in little haste. I mean, it has not been notified still by the President of India. I mean, act which has not been notified by the President of India, they have gone against that act. I mean, technically, I am not a lawyer, but as I little of the law I understand, until it's been notified.
No, they have just said they are going to move court.
No,
they are waiting.
They have already moved court. One of them has already moved court today. So whether it will, this very ground will turn it down, saying that let it be. We are coming before the it has been ratified by the president. It need to be stamped by the president.
But once it's notified, are you confident it will stand the test of legal scrutiny?
110%. I give a challenge. Please ask gentlemen to tell me what violation of constitution is there. 25, 26. Do you want me to read? I'll read it from the constitution book, which categorically states that it is only for religious bodies that you have freedom of religion, not freedom of managing property. Article 25 of the Indian Constitution guarantees freedom of conscience and the right of freely profess, practice and propagate religion. While Article 26 grants religious denomination of freedom to manage their own affairs. Matter of religion.
Correct.
Not property.
So you can manage temples, manage gurdwaras, churches and masjids.
Yes,
but not 9.2 acres of land.
No. Also, there is a High Court order, Calcutta High Court order, which clearly, categorically states that Waqf Board is a property management board, which was again ratified by the Supreme Court, which was again mentioned by the Supreme Court, saying that yes, it's a property management board, and again, property can be given to masjid. And masjid can be run by another trust which will be touched, or it can give property to madrasas which can be run by another trust which will not be touched at all.
And as per the tenets of Islam, property to a masjid can be given only when the title is clear, there is no dispute, and it has been brought with and it has been bought with legal money and not illicit by illicit means or by force or coercion. So that is also something that needs to be followed.
But let me give you one other example, altogether different. There's a property in Vijayanagar which is worth many only 12,000 rupees, and I don't want to name a person who owns this property. There's a property in Srinagar who owns that property. That property is a Waqf Board property, and man has made a mall over it.
But Waqf is supposed to be, Dr. Ranganathan, since you are a Darwinian atheist and you will take a non-religious position, let me ask you, I'm wrong, the 5 charitable causes, charitable being the underlying word, so a mall is charity, a hotel worth crores is charity? And the people of Dhaka have taken this land on rent from the Waqf Board, and they are paying a mere 12,000 rupees.
Meager.
So, is the so-called Hindutva party cheating the Mussalman of the country?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Can I just say at the beginning that it is already a memorable debate because 2 of my favorite panelists are. It's a fantastic debate already, and they are so reasonable. They put their points so articulately. Before I come to 3 or 4 very brief points that I would like to make, very simple question. You see, at the heart of it, technically, there's an echo, Anand, if you could please get it.
Yeah.
That it's a private matter. It is a Muslim or a Muslim community or an institute that is built by Muslims that decides a property that is to be donated for the cause of Allah. Now it's a private matter, it's a religious private matter. So a simple question to my good friend Rahmanji is, Rahmanji, would you mind if the Waqf Board the government intervention was removed altogether. The Waqf board became like any other board, private board managed by Muslims, Muslim community, and there was no Waqf Act. Would you mind that?
No, see, because now Waqf board in fact is having a proper legal structure now. No, that's what I'm telling you. Waqf board is having a proper legal structure now, and it is governed, in fact, by the Act of the Parliament, which is as per the Constitution of the country.
No.
So,
please understand what I'm trying to say. Please understand I'm trying to say. Waqf board becomes entirely private, managed by Muslims. They can include anyone they want, you, anybody else, but there would be no Waqf Act promulgated by the government or the state to run the Waqf board. What is your objection to that?
No, because see, we in fact are the law-abiding citizens, and we in fact want it to be governed as per the constitution of the country. As per the constitution of the country, I'm telling you. And so that is the reason, without violating the fundamental rights.
But Khalid, okay.
Now I want to
okay, allow Dr. Raghunathan to come.
Yeah.
This is the core that people don't talk about or haven't talked about for the last month. A private board is also unacceptable to them. Why? Because on the pretext that Parliament has promulgated the Waqf Act, they are saying we are going to use the Waqf Act as a weapon to weaponize the decisions of the Waqf board. Now the Parliament has also promulgated a lot of things that you don't accept. You didn't accept CAA, you didn't accept abrogation of 370. On the other hand, you accepted Places of Worship Act that you bar others to not accept. So what I am saying is, and here I come to the crux of the matter. You see, and I have, as I said, one of my favorite panelists is here, Mr. R.P. Singh. Others from the BJP have articulated the government's point of view beautifully. Shehzad being one, RPG another, Pradeep another, Sanju other. And I do understand. You know my point of view, Anand, but still I understand that perfect is the enemy of good. So in the state trying to improve, or let us say remove the problems of the Waqf board, it has made an amendment, perfect being the enemy of good. The problem I have is that it wasn't good at the first place. Let me give you an analogy. You know, we have our freedom of speech that was enshrined by Article 19 in the Constitution, and then Mr. Nehru came along and then demolished it using the First Amendment that had 4 clauses. Now, 2 of those clauses was that your freedom of speech is subject to public order and public morality. Now let us say a government comes along and says, well, it's all relative and subjective. Let us remove public order. Fine. Perfect is the enemy of good. But still public morality remains. And your freedom of speech is subject to that. Now who is to decide what? That is why there are so many draconian clauses in the amended Waqf Act that still remain. My question is, if there is no similar act for other religious communities, if for example, there was one for the Hindus, Sanatan Act, and a Hindu board lay claim to Jama Masjid. After all, every mosque in India is on Sanatan land. And the Muslims were rightfully aggrieved. Now, the Muslims, the natural way for the Muslims would be to approach a court. But here, because of the act, the Muslims cannot approach the court. The Muslims have to come to the Hindu tribunal. And that would take a year. And deliberations that would possibly overwhelmingly go against them. Is that right? My submission is that it cannot be right because it is unequal. That is why I asked Mr. Rahman point blank and he was caught like a rabbit in front of headlights. Allow me to say this. The Waqf board is made entirely private without any government intervention. Why on earth should anyone have any objection to the complete removal of the Waqf Act?
So if the Waqf board becomes a private entity, the state Waqf boards also become private entity. There is no Waqf Act, and then they will be governed directly under the Constitution and the court of law, because it will be asset and civil rights. It will be asset and property management. But 9.1 acres of land and the Musalman of Bharat are still backward. That means there is very poor asset management by the Muslims, especially when the Act, land, everything was of the Muslims, for the Muslims, by the Muslims of Bharat.
Let me slightly correct R.P. Singh ji also, because he talked about 9.8 lakh acres. You know, on the floor of the House, the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, gave the latest figures. Now it is astonishing. It is 39 lakh acres, but that's not the real story. The bomb is from 1913 to 2013. The Waqf controlled or claimed only 18 lakh acres. In the last 10 years, After the Waqf 1995 Act, they have claimed 21 lakh acres. Can you please explain how on earth in the last 10 years can a body, obviously the Waqf Act has weaponized it. They are claiming everything under the sun.
No, the very Waqf by user that Khaliqur Rahman was trying to defend is the one that has allowed the Waqfs to actually go on the offensive. This kind of land acquisition by a particular board in 10 years is phenomenal. Sir, there is one more aspect. There is one more aspect. One more aspect, and I just want to highlight this on the show. One of the key concerns of the tribal community now regarding the entire Waqf Act, this is about scheduled tribes. The old Waqf regime under the Waqf Act 1995 has been usurpation of their land by the Waqf boards unilaterally. Hundreds of thousands of acres of tribal land. Now they said no, from 18,000 acres, how does it gone to 39 lakh acres? This whole aspect is after the Waqf board coming in, and it's largely tribal land that's been acquired. The Akhil Bharatiya Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram highlighted some examples which prompted the Modi government to include provisions to protect the land of the scheduled tribes of Bharat across the country. Here are some of the instances cited in the ABVKA. 1. The church properties in Ranchi, Jharkhand. In Jharkhand, a fifth scheduled state with a significant tribal population, there have been controversies involving Christian institutions receiving notices about land disputes. These disputes often involve tribal land protections and claims from the Waqf board. The legal framework in these areas makes such disputes complex, as land ownership transfers in the fifth schedule areas require approval from the tribal councils, and properties often get tied up in legal debates over ownership history. In the tribal agency areas in Andhra Pradesh, there have been instances where Christian missionary institutions receive notices concerning land ownership. These areas governed under the 5th schedule provide protections to tribal communities, and any claim or transfer of land has to navigate both local tribal laws and national laws. In Odisha's tribal areas of Koraput and Mayurbhanj, there have seen legal disputes over land rights where both Waqf boards and Christian institutions have received conflicting land claims. These disputes often arise from complex land records dating back to colonial or princely state periods. In Chhattisgarh's Bastar region, where 5th schedule protections apply, land-related disputes have occurred where tribal communities have raised concerns about land ownership and conversions. The intersection of tribal land laws and religious property claims remains a sensitive issue in these regions. More details on a beautifully penned article by Arun Anand on money control. So do peruse that, viewers. I thank our panelists. I've got to move on. We've got another big news break coming through. It's a CNN News 18 exclusive. Network 18 Group Editor Manoj Kumar Gupta, Investigations and Security Affairs is under his domain, and he shared this exclusive input with your channel. Pakistan has launched a fresh wave of deportations targeting Afghan refugees, intensifying tensions with the Taliban government. The crackdown, which affects around 3 million individuals, includes even those holding legal documentation such as Afghan citizen cards or ACC and proof of registration or POR cards. Top Indian intelligence sources have confirmed to CNN News 18 that Pakistan is proceeding with the expulsion of all Afghans irrespective of their legal status. Over 8 lakh ACC holders were ordered to leave Islamabad and Rawalpindi by the 31st of March 2025 or face forced removal. Meanwhile, 1.3 million Afghans with POR cards have been told that they can stay only till the 30th of June 2025, after which they too are risking expulsion. The Taliban has reacted strongly to this move. Taliban Ministry of Refugees has urged Pakistan to ensure deportations are dignified and voluntary, warning that forced removals fuel hatred and could destabilize the region. Taliban officials also slammed the lack of coordination with Afghan authorities and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, calling Pakistan's policy arbitrary and harmful to bilateral ties. Also, the situation on ground is quite dire, viewers. Since late 2023, more than 8,45,000 Afghans have fled Pakistan, many reporting police raids, bribes, document destruction and separation of families. Vulnerable groups including women, journalists and former allies of the Ghani government face heightened risks of reprisal from the Taliban or by the Taliban upon their return to Afghanistan. Afghanistan's economic situation remains bleak. Since the Taliban takeover of 2021, the economy has shrunk by 30%. Unemployment has skyrocketed and over 23.7 million people, nearly 60% of the population, require humanitarian aid. The return of refugees is expected to exacerbate the crisis. Over half of the population is experiencing acute food shortages. 2.9 million children are under 5 are malnourished. Nearly 30% of Afghan children face emergency hunger levels, with many returnee children unable to attend school due to Taliban restrictions or lack of documents. The plight is especially severe for women and girls who are banned from education beyond grade 6 and face near total exclusion from the workforce. Women protesters who had sought shelter in Pakistan now fear Taliban retaliation if deported. Rights groups and the UN have criticized Pakistan's actions as violations of international law, particularly the principle of non-refoulement, which prohibits sending refugees back to places where they face danger. The Taliban has warned that the expulsion of returnees, many of them former government workers or Western allies, risks further instability as these individuals could be arrested, tortured or even executed. Security analysts also warn that the deportation wave could boost recruitment for extremist groups like the ISIS-K, the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which Pakistan claims it is trying to suppress through these deportations. Listen into some of the reactions.
دغه په 540 کاله کېږي چې کوم اول کې په افغانستان کې جنګ لګېدلی او چې زموږ دې ځای کې ته راغلي دا اوس دې ځای کې ته 11 کاله کېږي ورسلو د پاکستان کوم اشنا کارتونه چې دي هغه کارتونه هم لرو دا بس یکدم داسې چاپېره اچوي چې وغورځېږي هغه لوکان مو بس هسې نه اوچت کړي د شپې 9 بجې وې د شپې 9 بجې او بس داسې یکدم 2 ګاډي راغله او 10 نفر به یا به 12 نفر او داسې لوکان یې اوچت کړل د کور نه او بس لاړه ایستنه او د ښځو باندې هم وارې وکړله بس په ښځو هم جامې وشلولې او ماشومان یې ووخله بس دا کار یې وکړه بس اوچت شو لاړ.
Short break, and when we come back, we turn the spotlight onto Mr Yunus and Bangladesh. There's a throwback gift to Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the meeting in Thailand, but this entire past frame in the present, does that make him trustworthy for Bharat in the near future? Stay with us.
With the baton of power set to shift, Bharat's youth will drive the next wave of change. The biggest leaders and policymakers, global trendsetters, business icons, and entrepreneurs will come together to inspire the next generation of change makers. Don't miss your chance to witness it all live. Rising Bharat Summit 2025.
सस्ते ही वाले
288 votes in favor versus 232 votes in the opposition in the Lok Sabha and 128 votes in favor versus only 95 votes in the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. This is how the Narendra Modi government has been able to pull off a big victory on the Waqf Amendment 2025 bill in the Parliament. 12-hour plus discussions on the both houses of Parliament over consecutive days. Home Minister Amit Shah sitting through the entire discussion to ensure all went by plan. Not only have the NDA partners like the JDU, the TDP, the LJP, the RLD stuck all the way through with the government on this legislation, but even adversaries like the Biju Janata Dal moved towards the NDA while voting in the Rajya Sabha, notching up a big total of 128 MPs in support of the bill in the Rajya Sabha, while the NDA official strength is only 123. The Waqf Amendment Bill is a major ideological project of the BJP. After the abrogation of Article 370, the Ram Temple, the Triple Talaq legislation, the Modi 3.0 has come up with its biggest move so far in its third term and within the first year of Modi 3.0, which is the Waqf Amendment Bill 2025. When Mr Modi took oath as the Prime Minister on June 9th last year, within 2 months of that, on August 8th, the Modi government introduced the Waqf Amendment Bill inside the Parliament. Literally midnight oil was burned by the government to bring this bill to Parliament within 2 months of its third term. But the government knew, and the BJP especially knew, that its allies like the JDU, the TDP, the LJP, the RLD may have issues with certain provisions of the bill because they have large Muslim vote banks in their respective states. That is the reason that the BJP did the smart move, agreed immediately to a joint parliamentary committee of 31 members giving representation to all its allies as well as the opposition members, and the JPC discussed the Waqf Amendment Bill threadbare for the next 5 months. How it helped the BJP was that the concerns of its 4 major allies, which I said, the JDU, the TDP, the LJP and the RLD, were removed during the JPC because they were able to lay their concerns before the JPC. Their amendments were approved by the JPC, and when the bill was introduced in Parliament this week, all the allies were completely on board and in fact targeting the Congress party, targeting the other opposition parties for blocking what they said was a pro-Muslim legislation which would empower poor Muslims, empower women, empower the Pasmanda Muslims, and essentially work. This act is supposed to work, the government says, for the benefit of the most disempowered people. And the Prime Minister in his message after the passage of the Waqf Amendment Bill has also called it a watershed moment, as it will go to help poor Muslims and especially poor Muslim women. The Waqf Amendment Bill will now be notified very soon by the President. It will be signed in by the President next week, and then we will see what government sources are telling us, that the rules of the Waqf Amendment Act will also come in very soon. There will be no inordinate delay because the government wants to make this law applicable across the country very, very soon. In fact, this could be the crowning achievement of the Modi 3.0 government in its first term. The big moves that the government has made through this Waqf Amendment Act is essentially control.
Back live, and a bilateral meeting between Bangladesh interim government chief and Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of BIMSTEC Summit in Bangkok took place earlier in the day. Now, shortly after the meeting, Prime Minister on Platform X said that he reiterated Bharat's support for peace, stability, inclusivity and democracy in Bangladesh. He said that discussed measures to prevent illegal border crossings, expressed serious concern for the safety and well-being of Hindus in Bangladesh. The meeting happened amid strained ties between the two nations since Sheikh Hasina's ouster on the 5th of August 2024. And that tweet, viewers, was quite cold, coming in from someone who's known for his diplomacy or the warmth with leaders across the world. So clearly the cold tone set matters in perspective vis-a-vis Bangladesh. Now, Bangladesh's chief advisor, Mr Yunus, presented a throwback photo to Prime Minister Narendra Modi during their bilateral meeting in Bangkok. The photograph captured a moment from the 3rd of January 2015 at the 102nd Indian Science Congress in Mumbai, where PM Modi awarded Mr Yunus a gold medal. Yunus's recent remarks in China have contributed to a growing friction between the two nations. Now, during a visit to Beijing last week, he emphasized Bangladesh's strategic position as the only gateway to the Indian Ocean for Bharat's landlocked northeastern states, urging China to strengthen its influence in the region. China mouthpiece propped up by the West into that seat which is supposed to be interim, but he is looking at making it permanent. Can Bharat trust this interim Bangladesh chief? Now, here's a reason why there should be some doubts there. He lifted the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami and released Ansarullah Bangla team chief. Stability. Minorities are fleeing. They're literally under threat by the minute. If we in the northeast landlocked, he invited China to expand its influence in the region by factoring Bangladesh's role as the only gateway to the Indian Ocean. Can Bharat actually trust a Bangladesh with Bharat? And there is a past. Now, recently, Bangladesh Army chiefs red flagged to Mr Yunus, asking him to call for early elections with a blunt admission of the state of lawlessness and anarchy and the rise of Islam. He has taken a backseat under Mr Yunus. Can Bharat really trust him? Or are there wheels within wheels that have already been set in motion after his utterances? Ambassador Deepak Gora with us. Dr. Anand Ranga, Majumdar, who's been writing and also keeping a close watch on what's happening in Bangladesh, also joins us, senior journalist. Namaste and Jai Bharat to everybody. Thank you very, very much. Ambassador Deepak Gora, you said the last time have confidence in Bharat, but Mr Yunus seems to be playing musical chairs faster than we could when we were younger, Ambassador Deepak Gora. He's made that transition real
Very
quick,
much.
giving Imran Khan a run for his money.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be with you, sir, to learn from you. And of course, you have two other outstanding colleagues. I'm not outstanding, we'll learn from them. Mohammed Useless Khan is, first of all, an unelected leader, self-appointed chief advisor. I don't think this term chief advisor exists in the Bangladesh constitution, at least the constitution that I'm familiar with. So it's a self-nominated position. Second thing, the man has no idea of international relations. He used to be Hillary Clinton's cook, and now suddenly he's been thrust into the limelight. What the Prime Minister gave him at the Indian Science Congress was in recognition of his services to the setting up the Grameen Bank and so on, and whatever else he was. It was nothing to do with him as an individual.
Indeed.
Now, he went recently, as you rightly said, he went to the Islamic People's Republic of China, which, by the way, cordially detests Islam, and then talked to them about India's northeast and about Bangladesh, as you said, being the guardians of the ocean, with 1.5 tugboats in their navy. The one doesn't work, only the half has to be towed here and there. The man is a buffoon. He's the duffer of Dhaka. His army chief has warned him. The young fellows he had got as his advisors, they are leaving his regime one by one. The Shahzada is sitting in London waiting for elections, not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday, so that he can assume power. This man, sir, may I just say that, like Kashmir was Pakistan's OCD and continues to be obsessive compulsive disorder, this man's is Sheikh Hasina. Give back Sheikh Hasina and then the moon will be made of green cheese or blue cheese or white pepper or whatever. He's totally obsessed with this. One can see it in all his utterances. Whereas we, if you read whatever we have said to the public, is that we want an inclusive, democratic Bangladesh, etc., means protect your minority. What we would have done in private, sir, and I've attended many of these meetings, let me tell you, we would have read him the Riot Act. China, thank you very much. If Bangladesh were to disappear tomorrow, as it will in 10 years if global warming continues at this pace, China will just say, hey, where was Bangladesh? Heard of it sometime or the other. That's it. You think they care? This fool should understand that the Chinese have no interest in him. They are using him for whatever purpose. At a time when China is trying to warm up to India because the Americans have given them a couple of tight slaps. And if they have to choose between Bharat and Bangladesh, it's a no-brainer, sir. Doesn't this buffoon understand? I rest my case here simply by saying he's playing with fire. He's destroying his country. There's another chap, the clown of Kiev, who has almost destroyed his country. This fellow seems hell-bent on doing that. I see civil war in Bangladesh very quickly, sir.
No, but that doesn't augur well for Bharat, Abhijit Majumdar, because our borders with Bangladesh are all around. And some of these places. So should we also think strategically? Should we also try and ensure widening of the chicken neck? Should we also try and ensure that the ports of Chittagong or the Sundarbans become more accessible? Should we also ensure that that narrow stretch of land that separates Tripura from the sea coast is also somewhere apportioned? Should we try and get a little more aggressive to protect our own security interests?
See, I think, while India's most vulnerable place is the chicken snake, and much has been said about it and much has been planned about it. I mean, Bangladesh has even more vulnerable places near Feni, and one can entirely cut off Chittagong and many other areas. So that's in the realm of say the future, or we have to be ready for any eventuality, Anand. There is no doubt about it. I completely agree with Mr. Vora that Mr. Yunus runs an unelected government. While I must say, I mean, from recently what has been happening in Bangladesh, Mr. Yunus I differ a little bit with Mr. Vora that he is not that stupid. He's smart. He may not be a politician, but he has a politician's brain. And what he has successfully done is he has controlled prices during Ramzan. So that is one. Second is he has been making these noises about absolutely, I mean, it may seem almost imbecile to when you talk about Bangladesh being the guardian of the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, with their fleet, with their navy, and with compared to India's navy, that is true. But that statement was for the domestic constituency. Remember, Anand, And anything that you say against India, the Bangladeshi public, they have been brainwashed so much, and there is so much propaganda, especially with the Army League IT cell in hiding, and also part of it releasing very, very irresponsible messaging. BNP IT cell is not that prominent, but the Jamaat IT cell is a very sophisticated machinery, mind you. It may not have much electoral power now, but Bashir Kalla or Jamaat's IT cell is a very sophisticated machinery, and they have been disseminating anti-India messages every single hour, not just every single day. So, all said and done, Mr. Yunus has played some things smartly, but the biggest challenge for him is that he is unelected. BNP is not going to wait endlessly for elections. BNP is not going to give Dr. Yunus 5 years in the hot seat, just sitting in the wings waiting for an election. Awami League will also regroup. I mean, it may be absolutely impossible to send the Hasina family back, or Sheikh Hasina herself in the next 2-3 years. It may be absolutely impossible. I mean, that's wishful thinking, I would say, if you are thinking like that. But that is going to be a problem. Prices are going to go up in the summer because Bangladesh has not been spending on energy, and when summer sets in, price of vegetables, price of energy, everything is going to go up. And remittances are not going to cover it. Its garment sector is has been crushed after this whole movement. It has gone down absolutely, and so it is not going to be easy for Dr. Yunus. He is not going to be able to balance China, India, US, the three main interests.
Well, I tell you what, there is no balance here. The fact is that Bangladesh owes its existence to Bharat, and they should not be allowed to forget that ever. And I think that's where somewhere we as a nation seem to have failed, because we have not kept rubbing it into them that their existence depends on us. They owe their existence to us, and they should always, forever be grateful. If they find that gratitude lost, if they find that gratitude coming down, we should have rapped them on the knuckles and kept them aware of it generation after generation. We seem to have failed there. Let's accept.
Putting all our eggs in one basket in Sheikh Hasina. We should have actually,
correct.
Back PNP had made inroads into Jamaat. Look at how we are playing in Afghanistan. Pakistan created the mess. Pakistan created Taliban. We now have a much better line with Taliban than Pakistan.
Right. So
Taliban is creating the maximum problem Taliban is creating the maximum problem in Pakistan now.
Well, see, what the Taliban does or doesn't do, it's up to the Talibanis. I don't think the Indian government is ever going to openly accept or deny what is happening in Pakistan, in Pakhtunistan, in Afghanistan, in Gilgit-Baltistan, or even in Balochistan. So that is for the Pakistanis to manage. They are occupying some territories and they claim some territories. But we have to bother about Bangladesh. I'm just going to check with our team that map of the chicken's necks that was there. If you can just call it out here on the screen here. And as and when we do it, we'll go to that. But Dr. Ranganathan, your thought process. Yeah, this map, if you can call it on the screen here, because two important places we need to strategically be mindful of. We'll get to that conversation. Yes. Oh, it's here. So I'm just seeing if we can cut to this. See, there are two important points, viewers, which we need to see. Right on the north, which is being circled, which is the Sikkim, Nepal, Bangladesh and Bharat, Uttar Pradesh, that area. That's called the chicken's neck, and it's being circled. But then turn your attention towards Tripura and the tip of Tripura that aligns with Bangladesh, and it's a very small stretch that stops it away from the Bay of Bengal. It's a very small stretch. That part is Myanmar and then there is Mizoram. So that part is Myanmar and then there is Bangladesh. And if Tripura can connect itself, that little stretch at the bottom of the screen, if you see it, that little stretch is also a significant strategic move that we need to think of as a nation, because it's open territory, open fields, and that's where the Arakan army is also making its passage between Myanmar and Bangladesh, and somewhere some infiltration happening into Tripura. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
The premise of your debate was the question, can we trust Yunus? Well, we can trust Yunus as much as, Anand, you can trust Dracula to keep his mouth shut at a blood donation camp. The fact of the matter is that I don't think Yunus is, aiding just the Islamists. He is an Islamist. It took us a year to discover that. So, of course, he's going not only to prop up the jihadi and Islamist elements who are going to obviously one by one, individually and collectively perpetrate in the Hindu genocide that is happening. He himself is responsible for it. And if you look at in the past 1 year what he's done through the government side of it, of course, openly he cannot be perpetrating jihad, although he would possibly love to. But he's been whitewashing Bangladesh's own history. I mean, Mujibur Rahman and his contribution, Mukti Bahini, our contribution, everything has been erased or is, obviously about to be erased. So how can you trust a man who the Bangladeshis themselves cannot trust into telling about how the nation was created? So his every sinew, his nerve is oriented towards denigrating, insulting, humiliating, and at the end denying the existence of India. In such a circumstance, I think it is absolutely futile for us to even talk to him or request him to do something for the Hindus of Bangladesh or something else. I'll make two brief points out here. According to the loss that Bangladesh can potentially face as far as its primary textile industry is concerned, it is still the world's second largest textile exporter. Point is, we've done precious little. We should be gaining $500 to $600 million a month from the debacle that Bangladesh caused itself by, hitting itself over the past 1 year. But I'm afraid we've done precious little. Coupled to that is the fact that 30% of the Bangladesh textile industry is actually owned by Indians. Secondly, and this is most importantly, Anand, as I've always said, and you also had that point of view, what have we done in the last 1 year? Have we made a single detention or relief camp for the Hindus of Bangladesh that are fleeing certain genocide there? Just one? No, we haven't. What is the point of talking to the genocide enabler? Please stop the genocide. What have we done? And I'm afraid it's not just the BJP or the government that's done precious little. Why did it take more than 7 or 8 months for the RSS to pass a resolution to say that we must do something about the Hindus in Bangladesh? What is the RSS's primary duty according to its preamble? Is to talk about the safety and talk about the prosperity of the Hindus per se. Why did it take it 7 or 8 months? According to them, the excuse is, well, the convention normally happens only twice a year. Well, is there something called emergency? So when we haven't done something, on what basis are we blaming Yunus? That's my stand.
Well, there are certain letters and conversations and communications between Guruji Golwalkar and a certain Gumnami Baba in the archives of Panchajanyan organizer. Perhaps the current members of the RSS also need to revisit those conversations. So, and then we would see perhaps the perspective change. But that wall, Ambassador Deepak Vora, do you think Bharat should consider this? Let's just call up that map if we can and then get Ambassador Vora's so that's what it is. You see that Sikkim is circled, but at the bottom there, near Tripura, Bangladesh, Mizoram, you see that stretch? It's smaller than the chicken's neck. Should Bharat move in there, Ambassador Deepak Vora?
Well, sir, I've been to that area and I'm not going to answer this question because it will kick up a firestorm. Well, however, I do wish to comment on what you said a little while ago, gratitude. The first thing we are taught in diplomacy is the Felix Schwarzenberg principle. There was the Austrian foreign minister, he was asked in 1850 or thereabouts, that now you're going to be eternally grateful to the Russians because the Tsar sent in his Cossacks to clobber the rebellious Magyars and save the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And then he made the most bracing statement in international diplomacy. Austria will surprise the world with its ingratitude. Don't expect gratitude in international relations. And if you want loyalty in international relations, please go buy a dog. That's where you will get loyalty. Now, about this character being smart, sir, with due respect, doesn't he see what's happening around him or is he blind? Have you heard of a chap called Holy Moly Oli, the fellow in Nepal? What happened to him? went around telling the Chinese, uncle, uncle. Chinese said, oh yes, you're from Brazil, aren't you? Have you heard of the Rajapakses of Sri Lanka? When they went banging, uncle, uncle, tingling, pingling, help us. Yeah, you guys are from Nigeria, aren't you? Look, the Chinese have created blood. They have left a trail of blood wherever they have gone. They have created issues wherever they... Doesn't this buffoon realize this? You think they have any affection for Bangladesh? They are going to slap these guys when it suits them. And as far as creating more, making it easier geostrategically for us to protect our interests. Sir, without saying anything, all I can say is absolutely, it's a no-brainer. We have to do it. Now, whether we do it is up to wiser minds than mine. If I were in a position to decide, I would be gung-ho and I'd say, batao inko.
Yeah, true. And I think we should learn, if you're supposed to learn from our neighbors and learn from others who have gone ahead and advanced from comprehensive national power towards furthering their own idea of a great nation, then we should have very clearly stretched the neck or thickened it and narrowed or bridged the gaps like we see in Tripura and they're closer to the coast. So, and it's not something, it's not so difficult, and we should prove Mr. Muhammad Yunus wrong that clearly the northeast of Bharat is not landlocked. We can if we want to. I'll leave it at yes, we can. So we'll leave it at that. Gents, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking the right stand, as ever, in the interest of Bharat. We're going to wind up on that note.
Co-powered by
288 votes in favour versus 232 votes in the opposition in the Lok Sabha and 128 votes in favour versus only 95 votes in the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. This is how the Narendra Modi government has been able to pull off a big victory on the Waqf Amendment 2025 bill in the Parliament. 12-hour plus discussions on the both houses of Parliament over consecutive days. Home Minister Amit Shah sitting through the entire discussion to ensure all went by plan. Not only have the NDA partners like the JDU, the TDP, the LJP, the RLD stuck all the way through with the government on this legislation, but even adversaries like the Biju Janata Dal moved towards the NDA while voting in the Rajya Sabha, notching up a big total of 128 MPs in support of the bill in the Rajya Sabha, while the NDA official strength is only 123. The Waqf Amendment Bill is a major ideological project of the BJP. After the abrogation of Article 370, the Ram Temple, the Triple Talaq legislation, the Modi 3.0 has come up with its biggest move so far in its third term and within the first year of Modi 3.0, which is the Waqf Amendment Bill 2025. When Mr. Modi took oath as the Prime Minister on June 9th last year, within 2 months of that, on August 8th, the Modi government introduced the Waqf Amendment Bill inside the Parliament. Literally midnight oil was burned by the government to bring this bill to Parliament within 2 months of its third term. But the government knew, and the BJP especially knew, that its allies like the JDU, the TDP, the LJP, the RLD may have issues with certain provisions of the bill because they have large Muslim vote banks in their respective states. That is the reason that the BJP did the smart move, agreed immediately to a joint parliamentary committee of 31 members giving representation to all its allies as well as the opposition members, and the JPC discussed the Waqf Amendment Bill threadbare for the next 5 months. How it helped the BJP was that the concerns of its 4 major allies, which I said, the JDU, the TDP, the LJP and the RLD, were removed during the JPC because they were able to lay their concerns before the JPC. Their amendments were approved by the JPC, and when the bill was introduced in Parliament this week, all the allies were completely on board and in fact targeting the Congress party, targeting the other opposition parties for blocking what they said was a pro-Muslim legislation which would empower poor Muslims, empower women, empower the Pasmanda Muslims, and essentially work. This act is supposed to work, the government says, for the benefit of the most disempowered people. And the Prime Minister in his message after the passage of the Waqf Amendment Bill has also called it a watershed moment, as it will go to help poor Muslims and especially poor Muslim women. The Waqf Amendment Bill will now be notified very soon by the President. It will be signed in by the President next week, and then we will see what government sources are telling us, that the rules of the Waqf Amendment Act will also come in very soon. There will be no inordinate delay because the government wants to make this law applicable across the country very, very soon. In fact, this could be the crowning achievement of the Modi 3.0 government in its first term. The big moves that the government has made through this Waqf Amendment Act is essentially
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. President Donald Trump of the United States and his reasons to impose steep new tariffs on trading partners are many, from restoring American manufacturing jobs to reducing trade deficits with various countries. Trump and his administration believe that these tariffs will stimulate the U.S. economy. Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs mark